Yes. Okay, so it's culture here on Live Chat with Josey that I'll ask you to introduce yourself. I know many people know who you are, but how would you best describe yourself? Introduce yourself to some people that might be here, but they don't know you.
So I'm a Nigerian, African, who's a human rights activist, citizen reporter. I don't call myself a journalist. And the easiest way to recognize me is that I went to jail for 5 months recently because the dictators in Nigeria didn't like my idea of how to fix the country. So that's who I am. And I just got out of jail in December. Mansions, big cars, and doing what they like unchallenged. So that's where I am. And that's why. So
Okay,
part
so
of it is that I'm a publisher of Sahara Reporters. I teach at a university in New York, the School of Visual Arts. I teach post-colonial Africa history. It pretty much tells the same story over and over again of how African leaders have taken Africa since independence around 1960. So, yeah. Probably when we go on, I'll tell you more about myself. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet all of our people who are watching and paying
yes.
attention to this tonight.
But Omoyele is a father.
Yes, I have 2 kids that I know of. You know,
You are so funny. Okay. And Omoyele is a husband.
yes, my wife is very, very popular now because she fought very hard for me when I was defend. So she's a highly private person, but you have to come out
Yeah,
and
I watched I watched the fighting for you. So
yes.
are you an activist or a politician?
I'm an activist. There's no reason to call an activist a politician. When people call you a politician in Nigeria, they mean that you're a bad person. Like you're deceptive, you're dishonest and corrupt, and not any of those things.
Okay. So you ran for presidency in
20,
Nigeria.
right?
Tw-
Yes,
yes. So you did not make it. There is
because there was
president.
no election. Because there was no election. It was a manipulated process. There was no election, so I'm saying it categorically. I'm never
So there
hidden
was no
it.
election.
That's what
That's
I told them with the
how
secret
you
police.
put it across.
Huh?
So I didn't get that.
I said there was no election. We didn't have an election in 2019. We had a selection. There's a difference between an election and a selection. Selection, you have to put S in front. And that's what happens in a lot of African countries with all this all these just manipulate election, let themselves. And then on the swearing in, they swear themselves in, use soldiers to shoot and kill and beat up anybody who challenges the manipulation.
So, Mr. Sowore, if you were to be the president of Nigeria today, what would you do differently?
Oh my goodness! If I was president of Nigeria today, I would have very competent people in my cabinet, not all these bootlickers. I would have prepared for COVID-19 by recruiting and preparing for the pandemic as it happens. Even the small country of Lesotho prepared for surviving Nigeria. I would have provided infrastructure for everything, healthcare. I would have been tackling the security situation in Nigeria. I would have been a commander in chief of the armed forces, not the commander in chief of the armed forces. So a lot of things. I wish that Nigerians were clever not to have elected me as president in 2019. By now, this conversation would not have been necessary because we'll be doing so well, very well.
Okay. So, but do you think Nigeria is ready for change?
I don't know, but I'm ready for change. I've been ready for change since I was 19 years old, and I've been fighting for 30 years for real change, not the chicken change they brought in 2015 and repeated in 2019.
So, what are your political plans moving forward? Will you run for presidency again?
I am running to liberate Nigerian people constantly until the next election and beyond it. It's not about running for president, it's about running for freedom.
Sorry?
I said it's not about running for the presidency, but it's about running to make sure that Nigeria is a free nation, running for freedom.
For freedom. But
Yes.
the thing is, what I've realized is everybody wants to be a president, everybody wants to be a leader. But do you believe that leaders are born? Do you believe that you have those leadership qualities in you? You were born with those leadership qualities.
I don't go the direction of spirituality or religiosity by talking about leadership. I just know that people can prepare themselves for leadership. They can have ideas, they have concepts, and they can have a situation where they have an understanding of the fact that leadership is not rocket science. You know, I don't know what I was born with. My mother did not give me an instruction manual when I was born, so I don't know what I was born with. But my mom is still around. She likes me. She says that I have qualities that shows that I've always been like this. But that's, I don't want to go the route of saying, oh, we are born with. But, you can become a leader by just being, having conviction, by being honest, truthful, and being able, both mentally and physically to govern a country. Nigeria, look, all the time, Nigerian leaders want to believe that Nigeria is a complicated country. You need rocket science to govern Nigeria. But Nigeria is just twice the size of California. And there are over 50 states in the US, and one person governs the whole state around it. So, but lazy people who are leaders in Nigeria will tell you it's impossible to govern Nigeria. Nigeria has too many ethnic groups, we have too many religious groups, but India has thousands of ethnic groups, and it governs and elections are held in 2 days to get the result. You can provide electricity everywhere. Forget about all the lies they've told you. They put, curveballs in the way of governance to make sure that Nigerians don't ever in their lifetime enjoy great leadership by making it look as if it's calculus to construct roads from one section A to B, to provide hospitals, to provide education for the citizens, to provide healthcare for people, to provide security. That's what the leaders want you to be. Nigerian leaders come prepared with excuses. I don't come prepared with excuses. I'm prepared. I'm coming prepared with solutions, and I've challenged all of them. Any one of them to say, let's do
Before we are going to get to your manifesto very soon. We are going to get there.
it.
But since you said no, but since you said your mom did not give you the when you were born, she didn't give you the manual or whatever. So maybe the best you can do is to take us through your journey as an activist. How did it all begin?
It began when I was 10 years old. That's the truth I tell. My village was invaded by the police when I was 10 years old. Small village, because there was a small crisis over young people fighting the police. I got to know the Nigerian police to be very dangerous, very destructive, and very wicked. When I was 10 years old, because there was this invasion of the village, there was rape, destruction, torture. And I decided from when I was 10 years old that if I grow up, I will fight against the system of torture and violation of human rights. When I got to the University of Lagos, one of Nigeria's topmost universities, in 1989, I met a fantastic lawyer who's still my lawyer today. His name is Tony Farana. Came to give a lecture, changed my life. I started knowing that the military is bad, the World Bank is bad, the IMF is bad. In fact, I used to refer to the IMF as international monetary fraud because of their policies that didn't work for Nigeria. The structural adjustment program against it. Now we fought that, you
So
know.
sorry, can you lean a little bit forward so that your audio we can hear you, because it's a
Can you
bit
hear me better now?
very
Yes. Can you
better
hear me?
now,
Yes.
clearly.
So, so based on these interactions, we started fighting against the military, against economic policies that didn't work for Africa or the Nigerian state, because there was plenty of oil, but they keep borrowing, they keep stealing, and you never find out where the money went. Switzerland, it went to France, it went to different parts of the world, and we fought against all this. And then I was detained several times. I was expelled twice from the university for fighting for what was right. And I became who I am today because I was never discouraged. I kept fighting until the military left in 1999. But when the military left, they brought a bunch of morons into the country in the name of democracy. Same old guys, same old politicians, and I left the country in 1999, and then I stayed in the US for 20 years after that. I went to study at Columbia University in New York and had a master's degree in public administration. But I wasn't satisfied with it because the day I graduated, I discovered that I couldn't find a job. But US citizens who went to the same school with me found a job with Shell, and they were paid $50,000 as hiring allowance. It was discouraging. I decided I don't want to work for too long. I worked with Catholic charities for a few years, and they were bringing refugees from the same dictators that I always fought against. And I decided to start up Sahara Clubhouse in 2006. I graduated from Columbia in 2003. 2 years later, I knew what I wanted to do, which was to fight power using social media and the internet.
So is it the love that you have for Nigeria that is pushing you to lead Nigerians, or is it about power? Is it about money? What exactly is driving you to want to become the number one citizen of Nigeria?
It's not money. I've seen a lot of money in my lifetime, but I know that money can't buy you anything because Chief MK Abiola, who was probably the richest person in Nigeria, when he died before I left Nigeria, was around 1998 or so. I'm not sure of the exact date now, so don't quote me wrong. I'm just giving you an idea. I saw his dead body. It was Richard Kingston. He's just there. I was like, this is how money disappoints people. But before he died, he's been friends with the most powerful military regimes. He was the military contractor. He had all the best cars in the world. So it's not money that's driving me. I went to the US, lived for 20 years, never changed my citizenship because I feel like each time I'm challenged like Nigeria, especially when you are traveling with the green passport, which is not available in the world, I feel like that drives me to want to change Nigeria. So I never changed my citizenship. I never went for citizenship interview. I didn't want to be another citizen. I'm still a Nigerian to today. And the criminals in Nigeria have my passport as we speak now because they seized my passport, claiming that I want to overthrow the government. I still with it. I don't have another passport. I love Nigerian state. I love Nigerian nation. But I also understand people who don't like Nigeria because Nigeria has never worked for anybody. Nigeria is like a real estate for Britain. And I don't blame anybody that says Nigeria can never work. But I believe that if there's a concept of justice in Nigeria, Nigeria will work for Nigerians. Because there's no nation in the world, with due respect, that is perfectly created. If you go to the US, it was a stolen nation from the Indians, and they stole part of their land from the Mexicans, right? So, but that's the United States of America, that everybody wants to go there, everybody wants to visit. It's not that US is perfect, but it's a semblance of justice. Nigeria has no pretense of justice. We just have a bunch of elite south, west, north who are prudential, prebenda in nature, They want to steal. They want to empower themselves. They want to help their kids. They don't care about you, and that's why I'm mad about the situation in Nigeria, because I know with the little we've had, about 500 billion um, dollars in oil revenue, it could have made Nigeria become one of the best living spaces in the world. And it drives me crazy when these guys deliberately frustrate the opportunity to become a fantastic place to live. I'm not talking about nation, because Nigeria is not a nation yet. Nigeria is still a business, the way it was created by the British in 1914, when they hired the United African Company to create a ShopRite or a supermarket combination where they can just take resources away. But look, I'm not here trying to blame the British forever. Look, there's a point to which you can blame your father or your mother for all your failures. At the point you have to own up and take responsibility for your actions and inactions, and that's where we are in Nigeria.
Hmm. And winning elections in Nigeria, these are some of the things I'm asking you are things that your people have been posting, asking me to ask you, and some are comments. Someone says winning elections in Nigeria has to do with numbers and influence. You need the correlation of the good, the bad, and the ugly to achieve your aim. How do you intend working together to achieve this aim?
You see, there's a lot of good people in Nigeria. We don't need a coalition of and good to make Nigeria a better place. You know, I'll give you an example. Just the unemployed in Nigeria who are good but disadvantaged can make you win an election. Just all the women in Nigeria who have to go through hard labor to get health care and deliver babies, they are enough to make you win election in Nigeria. Just all the students in Nigeria who are eligible to vote, they are enough to help you win an election. But the problem with Nigeria is that the people who have power don't understand their power, and those who don't have power think that they are powerful, and they're the ones riding roughshod on the rest of Nigeria. So it's for us to have the consciousness and the education that, look, we can just have a turnaround one day and say enough of this. All the people ruining Nigeria, they're not up to 100,000 people. But the number of people in Nigeria who need deliverance, who need the kind of country that works for them, they are over 150 million. The last election in Nigeria, did not produce up to 25 million voters, maybe over that. The winner was maybe, let's say, 30 million. The winner won with 15 million. What happens to the rest of us? There are
But,
82
but, but
million
that's
registered
that's that's going
82
to be my
million registered
question.
voters. Why can't
That's
we just have the 80 million registered voters? Just 30 million of them who are disenfranchised, who are weak, who are sick, who have been abused, come together and just vote for the right guy, and the story will be different today.
but do do
I know you
do they
wanted to
know
say something.
do they know and accept you in the north?
There's no north and south in Nigeria. Look, they make you feel like there's a northern part of Nigeria that hates the south. It is all part of divisive politics created by the ruling elite. I have seen 7 or 8 presidents come and go.
This guy
I
with his
can
hand
count
on
them on
your.
my feet.
No, I was just
Yeah,
telling this
I
guy
can.
someone is doing something with your phone on the side. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's someone on the side because they're recording this. So I can count all the presidents who have been in my lifetime when I'm conscious enough. We started with Buhari in 1983, followed by Babangida in 1985, followed by Oshunekon in 1993-94. Abacha, that's 5. And after Abacha comes Abdul Salami. After Abdul Salami comes Obasanjo. After Obasanjo comes Yaradua. After Yaradua comes Jonathan. That's 8. And then Buhari. 9 presidents. All of them play on ethnicity, they play on religion. But when it comes to corruption, There's no religion. There's no ethnicity. They share the oil money amongst themselves. They don't even speak any language. They just speak the language of numbers. Steal, loot, and destroy. But when it comes to when people want to challenge them, they suddenly remember that we're Muslims, we're Christians, we're animists, and then they use that, they throw that at the people, and the people feel distraught and they start running after these stupid divisions that they create. Our job is to let people to understand that, look, it's your humanity that is important, whether you're a Muslim or not. As I've always said, if you are in a Muslim school, madrasa school, I don't have a problem with you. But I want you to be a madrasa and also learn to be a pilot or a doctor. We can combine the curriculum. If you're in the South and you want to be a pilot, you can also, you can also study the Bible. I don't have a problem with you, but my goal is to ensure that you become useful to society and you can become spiritual in the process, but you cannot allow religion to turn you to a beggar, begging from people who are completely all religious. Nigerian leaders are the most ungodly people in the world. So when they throw religion at you, just understand that they are fooling you. They are denying you of paradise on earth.
All right. During the last elections, a couple of young technocrats indicated their intention to run for presidency. Don't you think the coalition of these candidates could have made an impact rather than what you guys all experienced? That like there's so much division. Everybody wants to be a president.
There was no division. What happened in the last election with the so-called technocrats is that the technocrats, quote unquote, were sponsored by different power elderly blocks. They know that the youth could have a coalition that could destroy their hold on power. So they sponsored all kinds of candidates. Some of them were sponsored by church, some of them were sponsored by, mosque. Some of them were sponsored by, discredited leaders. But they knew that as long as they put them out there and they put the messaging out there, young people will be confused. But we were very clear because I went to the meeting of young people who were looking for a coalition. They told us accurately, they told us, without any doubt, that they were representing old people. One of them, I don't want to mention his name, said, "Oh, Sowore, would have loved for you to be our candidate, but the old people cannot trust you. They think you're going to put them in jail." He said it in our meeting. I was like, wow, is that what they told you? And I couldn't deny that that could be a plan because Nigeria has been destroyed for over 60 years. I felt like some people had to be held responsible for the situation that we're in. So that was what happened. And I didn't have to waste my time with them because I knew they represented different interest groups in the country who didn't want the unity of the oppressed. But I went ahead and worked with the oppressed people. I traveled around the country, traveled to 34 states, 35 states, several cities. At the town hall meetings, I did campaigns in all the cities. They didn't give me police action. Even when it was time for debate, they never allowed me to debate. But they allowed the technocrats to come to the debate, the so-called technocrats, because they were comfortable with them.
And what's your opinion about the popular trend that Nigeria is a country of nations, which has caused some citizens of Nigeria to start a referendum campaign? Will you subscribe to recession or hold on to one Nigeria?
I don't care about whether Nigeria is one or not. Humanity of people. See, I'm a Pan-Africanist. The country Nigeria is too small for me. There's a part of my brain that wants the whole of the African continent to be one nation, and I think you can blame me for having lived in the U.S., where you can travel from one part of the U.S. to the other in 6 hours flying, and Africa is pretty much like that. You see, Africa can fit in China and the continent of Africa today, all the 54 states, and there will still be space for agriculture, for tourism, for hydroelectricity. Africa is a huge continent. I wish all Africans can come together because you see the dream of Africa, United Africa, was 60 years old. It's about 60 years old. The Europeans just took the same dream and now they have what they call the European Union. What did they do? They quietly went and integrated the entire part of Africa, Europe, with electricity, with telephone, with internet, and also transportation. But when Africans were talking about United Africa under Nkrumah, they were busy blackmailing Nkrumah because they knew that the United Africa would become a very powerful pushback against European unity and the United States of America. They never wanted it. I am for a United African continent so that Africa can benefit completely from all of its resources, the powerful influence of its people, its culture. I love African culture. You can see it around my neck. I carry Africa everywhere I go. So, but you don't have to allow Europeans. You can't wait for Europeans to determine whether you're united or not. And the same way I feel in Nigeria. Nigeria is such a small country. You can fly from one part of Nigeria to the other in 1 hour. But the people who don't want to talk in Nigeria will tell you, "Oh, it's rocket science. Nigeria is complicated. We have 210 ethnic groups." But whenever there's justice, there's only one answer.
Mr. Sowore, it's easier said than done. It is easier said than
That's what
done.
I was
I'm
told.
sure that even the man who is right now was speaking the same way you're speaking. Don't you think that when anybody gets onto that seat, everything just changes? Anyway, before you answer me that, we're still talking about the split of Nigeria. There's a comment here coming live from Jimeto Matthew. He says, "What can you say about Biafra and Oduduwa Republic agitation?"
Look, people will agitate for a division of Nigeria because the current Nigerian system is not for anybody. So in fact, if Nigeria were to be divided and broken into houses today, it will still not contain some people. There will still be parents who disagree with their children and their wife and husband. That's not because there's no justice. If there is justice, I lived in the US for 20 years. I lived in New York City for most of my lifetime in the US. And New York has every nation, every city represented in it. How come we're not killing ourselves? Because there's a concept of justice. If you work on Friday, you get paid. If you have a better job, paid in 2 weeks, who cares? To a club, I'm not saying there's no racism, but you go to a club, you find an Afghan there, you find a Palestinian, you find a Zimbabwean, you find a Nigerian. Everybody's having fun on Friday night and Saturday because people get paid. There's social, there's economic, and some form of cultural justice. In the middle of it all, of course, there is racism, but it's not in your face. But African xenophobia in South Africa alone is worse than the racism in America, all of it combined. Because a South African is willing to kill a Nigerian, a Zimbabwean, simply because they've been told that they're coming to take their job. But if Nigeria were to be working, all of this will make a difference in how, in the context of our relationship, is expressed to the rest of Africa. The failure of Nigeria, which is as a result of the failure of leadership, is the reason why Africa is the way it is. I'm not exaggerating. I've always said it, and most people have said it, that Africa is like a pistol, right? Pointing down, downwards, and Nigeria is the trigger. But when the trigger is not working, you can shoot anything with the African pistol. That's where we are. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm saying it to you. If Nigeria were to get it right, I meet Africans all the time, Ghanaians, Zimbabweans, and they said to me, what's wrong with Nigeria? So what if we have a situation where there's nothing wrong with Nigeria? Then all of you in other parts of Africa, You just have the leadership that is such that you can follow. I want to answer your question about Biafra, Oduduwa, right? Right. I
Yes.
have met with the Biafran agitators. The reason why they want to leave Nigeria is because Nigeria is not working for them. I've met with Oduduwa agitators. The reason they don't like Nigeria is because Nigeria is unjust, is unfair, and is a wicked entity. But the moment Nigeria works, everybody will want to come back to Nigeria. It's the same way countries around Europe are begging to enter the European Union because they have one currency, they have a citizenship, they have transportation, they have integration that is easy. But without justice, nobody wants to live anywhere. Nigeria is such a difficult place to be now because the leaders have made Nigeria ungovernable and uncomfortable and uninhabitable. Are you getting my
So,
point?
so in other words, when Mr. Sowore becomes His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, then you are actually saying that you are against the splitting of Nigeria, right?
I do not support the splitting of Nigeria, but the coming together of Nigeria or the belief in Nigeria has to be on the basis of it cannot be on the basis of arms, or oppression or repression of. You can't force people to be united in a united Nigeria. There's no justice. Look, you have the Biafrans. They had 3 million people killed in the Biafran War because you want to unite Nigeria. I mean, who's going to love that kind of a country that killed your brother, your sister, your mom, and then left several other people with some for and all that? Nobody's going to love that. So, as a president, first thing I would do is I will apologize. I will apologize to the Biafran. I will work with them and explore what they need in Nigeria, and also discuss with them how much of autonomy they need. Uh, and not force them, not send people soldiers to shoot at them because they're agitating. Because they have a right to leave Nigeria if they want. I'm in support of a referendum, and I will help to create a constitution that allows any part of Nigeria that wants to leave if they want to. But I will do one thing, which nobody, as a former Nigerian leader or present Nigerian leader, has ever done, to create a just, fair, and equitable, egalitarian Nigeria where everybody will feel belong. If anybody feel they not belong there, they are free to say we want to leave, and we test it in a referendum. I'm in support of that.
Okay.
The video you put up today was me speaking at National Assembly telling you that Nigerian constitution is outdated. It's true. The constitution of Nigeria is a military constitution. It's not our constitution. Some
So you
guys just got
So since you confirmed that you're going to be contesting come 2023, then what are you doing now? Have you started campaigning? What are you doing on the ground?
I
What is
don't know.
happening?
Josey, I'm not contesting for election. I'm contesting for freedom. So the
You're
battle
contesting
for
for
freedom.
freedom.
That's why I spent. That's why I spent 6 months in prison, in jail. Arrested because I was saying I'm not satisfied with the status quo ante. I'm going to fight my way through 2023 and beyond. It's not the same thing as contesting for president. Look, I'm if I can get freedom tomorrow, why should I wait till 2023?
So you're contesting for freedom as we speak right now.
Every Nigerian, Biafran, any Oduduwa, everybody wants to be in a free Nigeria because Nigeria is stifling fundamental human rights, is stifling cultural rights, is stifling political rights, is stifling economic rights. Nigeria is being, choked by thieves, oppressors, and we need to be free tomorrow or yesterday even. We can't wait.
AAC party, I think that's your party, right? The AAC party official website has been stagnant since after the 2019 elections. Everything seemed programmed for only the next election. Why?
Websites non-determined freedom fighting. So the web, we can update the website tonight, but don't forget that I've been in detention for several months, and the government came after me because they were afraid that the AAC party would make the difference that they don't want in Nigeria. So we're upsetting the elite. So I was arrested, and websites don't determine. It's just like what do they say again? I don't know. It's the right word that the monk, the uniform doesn't determine the monk, right? So forget about websites. Look at what we're doing to fight to expand the fundamental freedoms in Nigeria and the democratic space. That's what is most important. Websites we can do overnight. Websites, it's peripheral things for us to do. But look at what we're doing. Look at how we're fighting to expand the fundamental freedoms in Nigeria. How we're fighting against the cabal in this country. That's what is most important. Websites we can update in 5 minutes. You find a fantastic website. Does that determine?
Maybe they want transparency. They want to see what you're doing. They want to be updated. These are your followers. These are your people. These are your supporters.
My followers follow me on Instagram. They follow me on Facebook. Or they follow me on Twitter. I'm always updating my followers or people you would call my followers. I don't call them followers. I respect them more than enough to call them. Yeah, the supporters, my colleagues. They are co-travelers in this journey for freedom. So don't let me reduce people to calling them my followers because I have older people, younger people, even people who are better than me intellectually who follow me. I don't want to call them my followers. They make me sound like Jesus Christ, and we have more than 12 disciples this time around.
And how do you plan to fund all the infrastructure projects you promised during your campaign? That's a question. And then the other one also says, will you consider accepting funds to fund your election? We know your goal is to depend on the masses for votes, but you need a valid sponsor to win election in Nigeria.
Listen, I'm outside the last one. In the history of Nigeria, during 2019 election, we raised the most amount of money transparently. Every night, I will announce who donated, and surprisingly, more people donated from Nigeria than donated from even outside. The diaspora community that were spread out with giving big money did not donate as much as people in Nigeria. And what was the money they were donating? 500 naira, 1,000. But the most amount of money was a million naira. I met a guy at the entrance of a hotel. He said, I like you, I like what you do. Please don't mention my name. I'm donating a million naira. Million naira is about 2,500 naira, $2,500 today, right? And all of this money came to about 150 million naira. Even at that time, we came, according to a lot of people, late to the game. Now, a lot of people understand what we stand for. They understand our manifesto. They want a different country. If we were to ask for donations now, we'll make billions. I'm not exaggerating. I think people will donate billions of naira. And it'll be small donations. And that's where we should be, so that big money, corporate interests don't take over our politics. And I've tried it before. It worked. Throughout my stay as the president candidate in 2015, I had enough money. Not only did I travel around Nigeria, I traveled all over the world. I went to Australia, South Africa. Unfortunately, I didn't go to Zimbabwe, but next time I'll come to the country, right? Where we have Nigerian diaspora. People were making donations, small donations, and I would say that I would never go back to a situation where we have need to go to big people to control us, because the moment you take big money, you have already encumbered yourself into some kind of criminal conspiracy with all these guys who control our economy, control our politics. And our goal is to defeat them. When we were running in 2015, 2019, we used to call ourselves cabal side. All this cabal side is that we are here to destroy the cabals who are running our politics. And that is why a lot of people have come to believe it now. What was your first question, if you remind me, so that I don't get it wrong?
But you did not answer me properly. Will you accept funding from anyone for your campaign?
I just told you that we accept funding from regular people who do not have any attachment. You don't have any thing attached to funding. If you are asking us to come and swear to an oath at a shrine, definitely not. But if you make a transparent public donation and you are willing to be identified, of course, that is what we have always been about. But you had a question before that.
Yes, the question was, how do you plan to fund all the infrastructure projects you promised during your campaign?
Thank you very much. See, we looked at the infrastructure projects in Nigeria. What has made them uh, unfunded or dumbfunded? I'm using the words, you can quote me, dumbfunded, is because of corruption. Nobody is funding infrastructure in Nigeria. Every road in Nigeria that you see in the condition that it is today has been awarded maybe 100 times before. Every high school, primary school, healthcare center, university, accommodation or hostels or library has been, awarded several. You just need to look at Nigerian budget every year. They award the same project every year, for the same purpose. Because Nigeria doesn't exist for its people, it exists for its contractors. Are you getting me? So to get infrastructure funded, we need to cut off the head of corruption and make sure that little we have is applied to the right places. And those who have stolen our fund, contractors who have taken money and contracts who have been paid are made to fund these contracts. And also, where we might have difficulties, we will ensure, and we will ensure, and this is very important for you to understand, our tax system is the lowest in the African continent. Our tax collection rate is about 7%. Even our next door neighbors, two countries over Ghana is 15%. We're not collecting taxes because our big men don't like to pay taxes. Our oil money is always diverted. None of that will happen. By the time we make all the collections of what we have and it's not stolen, it's transparently accounted for, you will not have to worry about paying for infrastructure. That is why we must dismantle this present political brigandage, that is affecting Nigeria. And in places where it might be completely difficult, of course, we will not ignore international partners who can come in and look at funding for some of these projects. But I will not fund projects at the expense of the Nigerian people. So, for instance, you can't come and say, well, we want to fund projects for us, and then you take over Nigeria the way Ghana had taken over Zambia now, including, as I've read somewhere, I'm not sure that they're even replacing the armed forces leaders in Gambia with Chinese officials because Gambia has bored themselves into oblivion.
Hmm.
I
And
mean,
so,
Zambia.
what measures are being put in place now to make sure that your party is stronger than APC and PDP before 2023?
So people talk a lot about parties. We have a party, but I'm more interested in the movements that
Okay, the
would
movement. What measures are being put in place that your movement is
it's
stronger than APC and PDP
the
before
movement
2023?
of our movement is going to be a movement that will become a coalition of the oppressed, in which everybody in Nigeria who is tired the way business is done in Nigeria comes together. And PDP, APC are just vehicles for taking power. They are transactional vehicles. They don't have any movement base. In fact, in Nigeria, you can go to sleep as a member of PDP and wake up as a member of APC the next morning. There's no difference between the APC and the PDP. These are transactional vehicles for please, can I get the charger for this laptop, please? Sorry, I need to charge my laptop. Yeah. So there's no difference between them. But what we are doing in Nigeria, that's why you've heard about revolution now, is to galvanize Nigerians to understand that this oppression has to end. And the way to do it is to have one voice and to have a commitment and to do it with courage once and for all. And I'm happy to announce to you that that's going very well. And that is unsettling the political levers and political leaders in Nigeria. That's why they sent me to jail for 5 months last year.
So you spoke about corruption in Nigeria. We will talk
Yeah.
about corruption in Nigeria right now. So your movement, what plans do you have to overcome corruption in Nigeria?
You know, corruption is not rocket science, right? You know, anti-corruption is actually science. I'm saying it to those who may not know it, because there are ways that corruption take over countries, and one of it is that before people they have looked at this and said that your system of contracting, your system of payments are opaque. The science to put an end to corruption is to make sure that your records are clean, open, and transparent. So we have said, for instance, I'm just giving you one instance, and this is not the solution, just one instance. Every corporation in Nigeria, companies that is doing public work, it doesn't even matter. The board members will be available to everybody. In Nigeria today, to find out the owner of a company, you have to wait for 1 week, sometimes 3 days at the minimum. You know, uh, but there's no reason why Nigeria cannot have an open system like you have in the UK with companies UK, where you can go on a website and know which company exists and what the government projects are handling, and know who are the board of directors. The second aspect of it is to place a lot of transactions online and it's computerized. For instance, Nigeria cannot tell you how many people are in the public service because it's corruption. Uh, uh, it's always about corruption. For example, they found out that there are 50,000 policemen or more at this point in Nigeria 2 years ago that were not in the police force anymore. But someone is collecting their salary. So what do? Make sure that every public officer, I mean, everybody in the civil service is registered, is available on the internet. You can search who they are and make sure that there's no duplicates. And you will find it easy to get rid of all the. But Nigeria right now pays over 4 million people who they claim in public service, whereas there are less than 1 million people in public service. Without 3 million people just by stroke of technology. So that's why Nigeria cannot continue to be governed by analog brain leaders. We need to go digital. But these guys who are running our country, uh, who are in their 80s, they don't even know how to use cell phones. They don't know how to use computer. And you can't blame them when they are very resistant to digital progress. So that's one. So what I want to say quickly is that corruption can be curbed by ensuring that you prevent corruption in the first place. There's enforcement, and of course, there's prosecution of corruption. Sometimes Africans are told that they don't know how to fight corruption, but Africans from time immemorial have always fought corruption with, mobilization of shame. In my village, if you stole just a bucket of water, they will put, some of them are cake old. We can't use them anymore because of violation of human rights. But I can tell you there's a lot of ways to fight corruption that we can reduce corruption by at least 90% in Nigeria. I have lived in the US for 20 years, and I'll be the first person to tell you that the US is the most corrupt country in the world. In fact, they have the most corrupt street, what's called Wall Street.
Hmm.
But Africans don't have any excuse, having understood how corruption is perpetrated elsewhere, to continue it at home. Because African needs every resource to bail itself out with poverty and misery. And Nigeria has a duty to lead in that direction so that not only can we fight corruption in Nigeria, but we can fight it on a continent-wide level as leaders of, or as people, as a country that the rest of the continent looks forward to, give them inspiration to get out of corruption.
Hmm. There is Big Ben from California says, are you optimistic that your court case will be over very soon? Or do you think that the government want to continue to buy time unjustly?
They'll buy time, but I'm not the one on trial. The government is the one on trial. So they'll be worried about me.
Okay. And then there's also someone who asked that those fighting for a working country are divided along the line of revolution, restricting, and referendum. So my question is revolution, restructuring, referendum, which should come first and why?
People talk about restructuring, but people asking for restructuring don't ask what is the meaning of restructuring. Restructuring is the buzzword for people who lost out of power and the older generation. They want us to go to 1963, but there's no country who goes back to the past. Every country is looking forward to the future. Restructuring. I think Nigeria has passed the stage of restructuring. Nigeria has come to the stage of revolution, industrial revolution, digital revolution, political revolution, social revolution, and cultural revolution. And when I mean all of this, it includes that the people who, as simple as people who even govern our music are not archaic. In Nigeria now, they still persecute, musicians for, using certain words, or dancing certain ways. You have old people who still believe that, you have to, you have to take permission from old people to dance a certain way. Just as of today, the National Immigration Service in Nigeria is persecuting some young ladies for participating in, a show on Instagram because the leaders don't understand the meaning of Instagram and the fact that if you participate in a program on Instagram, it doesn't diminish you as a person. They have no understanding of it. That's what revolution is about. It's all encompassing. It's holistic, but it means holistically overthrowing the old ways of doing things and putting in place new ways of doing things and micromanaging it in a way that is just, fair, and egalitarian. That's what we stand for.
Hmm. And then if you win the Nigeria as the Nigeria president, with majority of the National Assembly being PDP and APC, how are you going to handle that to get your program going?
I don't know why people keep talking about PDP and APC. These are parties of the past. We have 3 years to go to the election, and
So are you saying
already
that
nobody. Yes, we have 3 more years to go to the election. It's May 29th is the first year of Buhari's regime in this tenure. We still have 3 years. What are we waiting for? Why should we bind ourselves to a PDP and APC agenda when we have 3 years to throw all of that away for people who want to wait for 3 years? But like I said, we have to fight our way through, right? South Africa had apartheid regime when the ANC started, and they still had all those parties. But when the revolution started, all those people were jettisoned, abandoned, and discredited. We don't hear about them anymore. You talk to an average Tunisian young person, they don't know about the old because that's what revolutions are about. You jettison, look, these parties you are mentioning will have no relevance anymore. We will never hear about them anymore as long as we bond together and we feel we're tired and we don't want to hear from them anymore. And that will be the end of it. I don't know. You see, a lot of people are still caught up in this old belief that without these two parties we can't make progress. No, I don't believe that. And I
it
know
doesn't
that
it doesn't it doesn't mean that It doesn't mean when people say that they can't survive without it, but that's reality on the ground. There is APC, there is PDP,
It's
there
not
are other
reality.
parties,
It's
I
not
think,
reality.
in Nigeria.
Look, slavery was a reality at a point, right? For slaves, but for the freeborn or freedom, people who were against slavery, it was not a reality. You can only be bound by reality to which you are enslaved. If we all decide, young people, 70% of us are young, below the age of 50, that we don't want to hear about all these wicked parties, useless parties anymore, by tomorrow, Josey, you'll never hear about it again. And that is my mindset, is my concept. And I know a lot of people believe in this, and they are joining us even faster than we ever thought. So forget about APC, PDP. We've always mentioned in this show, they are not different. They're the same, both sides of the bad coin that's put Nigeria in the condition in which I'm thinking about a futuristic Nigeria. I'm not even thinking Wakanda, because Wakanda is a little bit fluffy for me, and a little bit tacky. But you're talking about the Nigeria that works for everybody, and you don't have to be bound by a system of enslavement that has put us in penury, poverty, and diseases. No, we can change that concept, because we have enough brain power, we have enough human resources, and natural resources to change our narrative. I'm here in Abuja, beautiful place. If it wants to be beautiful, you know, if you come to Abuja, you probably like it. But with these guys in charge, it will be beautiful today and tomorrow it will be misery. So we can
All right,
change that
there's
narrative.
no way we will round up this interview without talking about insecurity in Nigeria. We are also going to talk about
Yeah.
coronavirus, which has put the whole world on standstill. My first question, before we round up, the second question, of course, insecurity is one of the major problems in Nigeria. Boko Haram, I think the headsmen, the Fulani, etc. How can you deal with that if you're the president today?
Let me just come from another angle that may be a little bit interesting to you. It's like the insecurity in Nigeria is as a result of the nature of the Nigerian state, being a supporter of whatever is wrong. And in fact, Boko Haram became the problem as it is today because it became a business. And before you go to COVID-19, I'm
No,
announcing to
it
you,
became a business in
no,
what way?
yeah, because the army generals started making deals with it. It was the easiest way to be rich. When Buhari came to power, he instituted a panel to look at what was happening with Boko Haram. They found billions of naira in houses of army generals, Air Force, Army, Navy, police. They found some of them under pillow, inside cooking pot, as Fela would said. They found it inside, water cannons. What's the water thing, hanging? Huh? Water tanks. They found it inside, took away. They hid money everywhere. Boko Haram fighters, these generals were fighting Boko Haram. I'm not making this up. It's available in public, you know. And when Buhari came, Nigerians thought that he would stop it. He appointed the same people who participated in the old system. They continued the same way, and Boko Haram is just flourishing, the same way because it has become a business. Now, COVID-19 has become a business in Nigeria. So you may not hear about the end of COVID-19 anytime soon because they are making money off of COVID-19. In fact, state governors, wait, listen to this. State governors said, the Nigerian Disease Control Body, NCDC as they call it, were begging them to provide COVID-19 victims for them. Please, can you help us find, even if it's malaria, people just help us put them together. Let's just say that we have COVID-19 because they said Nigeria wanted to get this emergency loan from IMF, 3.4 billion, and we needed to show that we are in danger. I'm not
Wait,
saying there's no, please
wait.
get me wrong. But
Wait, so,
the moment it gets here, it becomes a business. Oh my goodness.
so
And that's Nigeria.
are the numbers from Nigeria with the COVID-19 a reality, or they are cooked up numbers?
You can go ask the governor of Cross River State, the governor of Kogi State, and I think the governor of Akwa Ibom State. They said it publicly that they are cooking up numbers. And there have been accusations in Lagos as well that they are cooking up numbers, that they are putting people with malaria in COVID-19 isolation centers and claiming they have COVID-19. Don't quote me. These are officials, elected officials, saying that this is fraud. In the same way Boko Haram started. Anything that enters Nigeria, the moment it becomes a business, you know the world is in trouble. And it doesn't end around here. And again, this is where it is important to get real leadership to take care of and to take charge of countries. You know, if I were to be president of Nigeria, you would never hear about fake COVID-19 cases. I would have put Nigeria in lockdown the same day we found an Italian. Our first case was an Italian, came to Nigeria. But the reason Nigeria was not put in a lockdown was because the children, the political gladiators in Nigeria were traveling abroad. They always never staying in the country. And they needed all of them to come back, including Buhari's daughter. So it took almost a month before they could lock down Nigeria because they waited for all their children to come back first. And by that time, it was late. A lot of people had gotten infected, including the chief of staff to the president, who also infected a number of persons because they were above the law. When he came back and he was supposed to quarantine himself, he refused to quarantine. And as a result, putting on that's the lockdown that we're in now, the situation in Kano, in northern part of Nigeria, where hundreds of people are dying on a daily basis, started because of the responsibility of leaders, you know. So again, very important that you know you could have found a video. Maybe I can send you a video of one of the.
Yes, I would love to see that.
I'll send you a video from Gombe. I'll send you a video from Gombe. One of the states in Nigeria. They had an isolation center, and the young guys there that they recruited to be in the place started dancing inside the isolation center because, of course, they didn't have COVID. And this is public information in Nigeria. It doesn't end over here. Yeah.
Wow, big brother, Nigeria. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so and if you are to become the Nigerian president, what difference would you like to see in African Union, and how would you push change across Africa as a continent? And remember, when you answer this question, also, I want you to also touch on the COVID-19 herbal medicine that is coming out of Madagascar. What is your opinion on that as well?
Yes. So with regards to the African Union, I'm not a big fan of African Union, and I'll say so. The African Union cannot become a respectable body as long as it harbors people like what's the guy in Uganda again? Museveni. Yes, all those African dictators with bad habits. Africa must offload them first before we can talk about. We can't have a meeting of African Union leaders in which Museveni is influential. Even our, leader here, our citizen here, who is a former dictator who doesn't respect human rights. The guy from Cameroon. All these guys, we have to upload them before we can have a clean African Union. But African Union cannot be on paper. It has to be an African Union of integration. That Africa must be able to relate with Africans and must be able to travel between African countries before we can call it a union. Otherwise, there's nothing united about Africa. As long as Africans can't travel between African countries, it's easier for a lot of Africans to even travel to Europe and America than it is to travel to Africa. So African Union right now is a joke. It's a coffee club of dictators who come around every year to dance Azonto, fall asleep, and go back to the Africans. You can only find an African leader who can speak for Africans. You can only find African leaders who speak for the African Union. It's their brother dictators. So until we have that Africa that speaks for Africans at the Union, forget about African Union. And you can't have an African Union that is a puppet to China or America or Russia. African Union that can't even build its own secretariat. That got to rely on donations. That is a charitable organization as far as I'm concerned now. And so African Union, it's just a paper tiger right now.
All right, COVID-19 herbal medicine from Madagascar.
Herbal medicine. I've always been, I'm an African to the core, Pan-Africanist. But we should not, because we're Africans, just accept every concussion that's thrown at us. I expect that the African Union, under our own leadership, when Africans come to power on the continent of Africa, we'll be able to test the efficacy of every herbal medicine that is produced on the continent of Africa, certify it, and endorse it to be effective before we start training. There's a way sometimes that Africans also get emotional about what comes out of Africa. Oh, it's Africa, whatever herbs come out of Africa. I don't trust herbs that medicine with roots, and they don't do nothing for you to just make you sweat. They don't cure malaria. But the thing is that the concept of herbs, even medicine as we know it, Western medicine they come from herbs. They come from tree barks, roots, and all kinds of concoction that most of them are actually from Africa. So Africa must again discover itself, and Africa must produce what it consumes and must stop consuming what it doesn't produce. And that's what Ali Mazrui said about Africa. I believe that if that happens, we won't get discredited over time with what we produce, because look, the West will be happy to say that Africans are incompetent, pharmaceutical companies. It's time for Africa to have a general standard through the African Union when it becomes the real African Union, so that we can hold our own against the rest of the world. Right now, somebody who just graduated from a university in the US is the country director of IMF. He can just walk into the office of your president and impose an economic policy. So what stops such a person from telling you that your herbs are not efficient or efficacious as they should be? Africa needs to rediscover itself. But with due respect, and I'll say this lastly to you, that rediscovery must happen from the trigger, the country of Nigeria. And we are determined to make it so that all of you can be proud of Nigeria, and you can follow Nigeria day and night, and you'll be sure that we are not taking you into the ditch.
All right, thank you very, very much, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, and all the best with your movement. All the best with the elections, but I'm sure before then we'll definitely speak again. We will host you again. But before we say our goodbyes, will you also agitate for a diaspora election for 2023? This is the last question that
Absolutely.
I've just put at you.
Absolutely. We will fight to ensure, we urge our diaspora brothers and sisters to fight for it, to ensure that they're allowed to participate in elections at home, because most African economies are sustained by diaspora economic power. Nigeria gets over 30 to 50 billion dollars, depending on who you're talking to, from diaspora every year. And the Nigerian budget is about $35 billion a year. So diaspora is better bringing in money. Why should we even debate whether the diaspora should vote or not? The reason they don't like the diasporans to vote is because they know that they can't rig diasporan elections. Because you can't tell someone who is living in London or America or Australia that you want to give them 5 yards of clothes to vote for you, or like just a little bit of rice or or butter or bread. Because they have too much of that, they probably are running away from too much of food. So that's why they don't want diasporans to vote. And Nigeria has over 6 million diasporans, officially, who are registered in various countries around the world. Some people say 20 million, but 6 million is what I can confirm. Imagine if you have that number voting for one candidate, you just need maybe another 12, maybe another 10 million, and you'll be winning the election pretty easily. They don't want that because they can't control the diasporans. And here comes, the engineers, the doctors, the computer scientists, the nurses, the physicists, and a lot of diasporans are not even in the business of what keeps us enslaved over here. You can hardly find a diaspora who doesn't have a job. So I'm totally in support of diaspora voting, and I'm going to move not only for Nigeria, for diasporans, African diasporans, to fight to ensure that their votes count in any election that is happening anywhere in Africa in the next 5 years, between now 2023.
All right, thank you very much. So, any last words to those Nigerians that have lost courage? I see that you're still courageous. Your team is courageous, I hope. Any words that you'd want to tell all the Nigerians watching us and listening to us, and obviously in diaspora, in Nigeria, and all over? Encouraging words.
It's a revolution now. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Omoyele. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Josey. My heart. And I hope people will follow you and continue to watch your show. And I promise to be in touch anytime you again.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so it's culture here on Live Chat with Josey that I'll ask you to introduce yourself. I know many people know who you are, but how would you best describe yourself? Introduce yourself to some people that might be here, but they don't know you.
So I'm a Nigerian, African, who's a human rights activist, citizen reporter. I don't call myself a journalist. And the easiest way to recognize me is that I went to jail for 5 months recently because the dictators in Nigeria didn't like my idea of how to fix the country. So that's who I am. And I just got out of jail in December.